Welcome back, guys. It's been a few weeks, so let's see what progress I've made with the Mk3 Golf vr6 project. So just giving the car a quick look over. Yeah, it looks pretty much exactly the way I left it, but I have been doing small bits of progress. So we no longer have the wooden bar holding the bonnet up. We now have a gas strut like the 3.5 convertibles would have, because it's actually the rod off at 3.5. So I tried using riv nuts there and there, but I just couldn't get them to put in. I think you really do need the applicator gun just for this project because the steel is so thin. So to line up the bolt from inside, what I did was put a nut like this, weld it onto a little shaft like this, then use one of these finger grabbers with an extension and put it all the way in, all the way up, holding the end of it. You can see it's obviously magnetic. And using the hole here, I lined it up visually with the hole going through here, and then just put the bolt in here at the top, and that's how I got the bottom one in. And then for the top I did the same again, just had to widen it out and then put that in, and then I'll just be closing that back in again. And that's just how I did it. It's never going to be open, it's never going to be taken off again, so it makes absolutely no difference. So anyway, that's now on it. I'm going to give this a little lick of black paint, just make it look nice. Next up, the vacuum servo. So it's all painted up. It's the OEM original one. It's all painted up nice and black. I've ordered a new brake master cylinder and a new master cylinder for the clutch. Also been trying to line up, got the correct bracket for here, and to go across here is actually this kind of weird bracket plastic thing like that, and it hangs down here, and there's a clip for here and it hangs in. I don't know how exactly it works, but it goes on like that. I've all of this lined up. I'm putting the heat shield back on. Some people say, oh, you shouldn't put it on because it's all painted and it all looks really nice, but obviously, like, there's going to be an exhaust here. I don't want the heat going into the cab. I'm trying to control heat, so I'm going to put the heat shield back on here, and I'm sure it does some sort of noise cancellation as well, so that's on. The other thing I did was the two little water squirters are here, and behind it I have all the correct rubbers all put in, the hangers all the way across, so they're all stopping here, and then I'll bring them back in and wire them all fully up. I know it makes absolutely no real difference to the car, and it's probably obviously pointless kind of showing you, but these are all the tiny things that all go on in the background, like even finding the correct clips and making sure everything is in the correct way and in the correct order. It just takes so much time, especially if you've never worked on one of these cars before. Suppose if you had worked on 20 of them, you're no problem to you, like you'd go through it really quickly. Or if you're just going to put the car together like a race car and you don't really care for this stuff, yeah, it makes no difference then. But if you're trying to put it back as OEM as possible, well then all these little tiny steps are all important as well. So now moving on to the inside of the car. So I think I showed that in the previous video. Put the caps on for the wing mirrors. Inside the dash is all the same. And now working on the front windows. So this is the mechanism for the driver's side, and I have the passenger one already in. And the original one, these pieces here, were damaged on the driver's side, and on the passenger side it was a little wheel and little cover down here. So looking online, I found a second-hand set of OEM ones for 160 euros. I thought, no, that's a bit expensive. So I looked on AliExpress, and you could buy this mechanism for 50 quid each. So I was like, that's 100 quid. I'm trying to do this project as cheaply as possible. And when I was ordering stuff from Autodoc, I just typed it in, do they have the mechanisms? Up they came, 20 quid minus the motor. I was like, done. So like, it was just a matter of changing over some nuts and bolts, and you swap the motor from the old system onto the new one, and that's it, done. So now we have a brand new mechanism going into the driver door. We have the passenger one already sort of done. That's it all the way down, and it sits a bit high, I thought. Should that not be sitting flush? I don't know. So if anyone has a Mk3, does your window sit all the way flush, or does it always stop with a little bit up? I'm not really sure. Maybe I have it slightly in the wrong hole, or something isn't quite right, but I had to put the driver one in next. So moving on, I had to wait for ages for this little seal to come. So this gasket stops the water obviously getting inside the car, and you need to have the aerial in to keep that on tight, and you can't put the headliner or anything else in until you have this gasket in, because you won't be able to get in from underneath to tighten up the nut. So So once I had that on, once the gasket came, I was able to tighten up the aerial. Then it was no problem, I could get in the rest of the trim all the way around. So I've stopped basically from here all the way around. Moving on to the boot, we have the boot all reassembled, all installed. This is obviously for a van, so there's no back seat. So we have the cargo bay back in. I did put the beauty board back in just for the novelty of it. Looks a bit nicer when you close the boot, and gave me some sort of hope to keep the project going. Spoiler. So there's this center brake light that sits in the spoiler. I was looking around, I found this loom. I was like, where does this loom go? I looked at this little grommet. I was like, I've seen that little grommet. There you go. I've seen this little grommet before. I was like, where did I see it? There it is. So I think this is the loom for the center brake light. I'm not really sure how it works, because obviously the loom is in the spoiler. It has to go from the spoiler, you drill a hole somewhere in the outside of the tailgate. Then it'll probably come out through here, and then from here it has to go somewhere to go down one of these tubes here, or the far side, and then it'll end up going into your rear brake lights. So looking at the loom, there's no numbers or anything on it, but we have this little clip here, and it'll go probably into this plug here, or maybe into the far side. And then we have obviously a ground as well. The ground will go, you can see the other ground way off in there where my finger is. So that's power and ground, and then the other two wires will obviously just go straight up here to the spoiler. So I'm going to join them up and actually make them work, but I'm not going to undo this here because I think that is pretty good. Might have to get some instant gasket maker and just take off this nut and just give it a good seal so no water gets in, but apart from that I think we're pretty much good to go. Not super important, but it just finished the project. We are working on the back. Since I did the tailgate, did everything else, said I put the rear bumper on. So the rear bumper is now on the car. It's not going to come off. All the nuts and bolts are in, and it's the correct nuts and bolts were used. That's one of the things about building this car. Like, you can just use any nuts and bolts, but if you use the correct nuts and bolts, everything will go in correctly. And when you go to look at it afterwards, the nut and bolt is actually in enough, and it's actually tightened enough, so it is actually correct. And these ones here have a shank on them, so when you put them in, they stop at a certain place, which stops the bumper from being over squeezed or under squeezed. So like, it is kind of important that you use the right nuts and bolts. So in between work and all the other things, I only get to work on this project at night time, so there's not a huge amount I can really do every night. So yeah, slowly working on the project. So if you like this video, give a thumbs up. If you have any information on Mk3 Golfs, does this window sit a little bit up, like, what's that, an inch and a half when it's fully down or not? I don't know whether I have it in the right place. Maybe when I put power to it, it'll go down a little bit further, who knows. But if you like this project and you want to support me, you can support me by giving me a thumbs up, leave a comment down below, subscribe over there. There is a PayPal link if you want to support me through PayPal, which helped me buy more stuff from Autodoc and keep buying parts for this car, because I didn't realize there was actually a load of shit I need to buy. So if you like this project, give a thumbs up as always. See you later.